Trappist monasteries have been vital to the history of European cheesemaking. And yet, ironically today, it's almost impossible to find authentic cheese actually made by the monks. I've come to France to visit the last 3 abbeys still making this fabulous cheese. The Trappists are a branch of the Roman Catholic order of Cistercians, founded at Citeaux near Dijon in eastern France during the 11th century. Sometimes known as the White Monks because of the colour of their habits, the order seeks to observe the rules of Saint Benedict, who stated, "For then they are monks in truth, if they live by the work of their hands." The emphasis of Cistercian monastic life is on manual labour and self-sufficiency, and the Trappist branch takes its name from La Trappe Abbey in Normandy, where the idea of the order was originally formed in the 16th century. The monks have traditionally provided income for their monasteries by producing a range of agricultural products. And after learning new cheese-making skills whilst in exile during the French Revolution, they returned to France with a unique recipe for a type of semi-soft smear-ripened orange cheese, which was named after the Abbey of Notre-Dame de Port-Salut.
When the monastery of Port du Salut sent other monks in other monasteries in France, they gave them the recipe also. And most of the monasteries named their cheese with the name of the monastery.
Regrettably, cheese bearing the famous name today is no longer made the old-fashioned way by monks. The Trappist order doesn't require abstention from alcohol, and before they made their name in cheese, they were famous for brewing beer.
The beer production at Mont began before the cheese production in 1847, exactly.
The brewery at Mont Abbey was destroyed during World War I, and the reason I've come here is to see how the closest remaining example of the original Port-Salut cheese is still made. The monks have been producing this cheese here since 1890, and it has been the primary source of income for years. But recently, they opened a small shop and began to once again sell bottle-conditioned beer brewed at the Chimay Monastery just across the border in Belgium.
The way the people received the new Trappist beer is incredible. We hope it continues. Our plan is not to make a beer factory as big as Chimay or the other Belgian ones, but people like we make a new product, and that's very, very interesting also.
One of the biggest challenges facing the Trappist movement in France today is a shortage of monks. According to Brother Bernard, this abbey was once home to over 150 monks, but today there are less than 30. After studying cheesemaking at the National Dairy School, Brother Bernard took over the Abbey Dairy and now balances his spiritual duties with his cheese-making skills.
The cheese is ripening in the cave almost 1 month, but we have 2 caves, this one and then the next one.
So this is the first stage,
yes,
where the cheeses are actually turned over?
Yes, we have washed the cheese 2 times in the machine, and here we put them on the wood because it is a much nicer way, traditional, to ripen the cheese.
Do you run into any problems using wood with the EU?
Yes, it is a bit difficult, but they accept because we are a traditional cheese and we can continue. But we have to be attentive of the quality, sure.
So these are washed regularly?
Yes, it is washed. Every time we change the wood, we wash it.
What sort of wood is it?
It is a wood from the Jura region. They use it also for the cheeses, the Comté and other cheeses. There is the same wood we use.
It's nice to see the traditional maturation process hasn't changed much here over the years. The young cheese is still matured on wooden shelves after it's been washed with a brine mixed with a natural bean extract called roucou, which is what encourages the rind to develop its distinguishing orange colour.
What a smell!
Yes, that's the smell of our caves and our quality cheese.
Old socks and ammonia. Lovely. So this cheese is how old?
4 weeks old.
4 weeks old. Let's have a taste. Straight in half, look at that. Look at that. It's very subtle, little holes in the middle. Is that normal to have these little holes?
Yes. If we have no holes, it seems very industrial, and that's traditional.
Ah,
Yes.
okay. So no rind.
Yes, that's the best way to smell the quality of our cheese.
It's still very, very soft and moist. It's something very special to see cheese still being made traditional way by monks in an abbey.
Thank you. It's very interesting for us to hear, but we have difficulties to sell our cheese.
Do you?
And that's another problem.
So you struggle to sell this cheese?
Yes.
Let's pray.
Yes, why not? Yes, well, that's
Whether
my
your sales will improve.
that's my specialty.
After spending just one night here, I can really appreciate the discipline required to live a monastic life. Each day begins with prayers at 3:45 a.m. More prayers, mass, and chanting continue at regular intervals throughout the day with a break for meals, work, and private time, until final prayers at 7:30 p.m. Then it's early to bed.
That's good sound. How long have you been doing this?
Now we don't make it ourselves, but we did it until the First World War. We made our beer, and it was a bit different of this. Not really the same, because it is difficult today to sell a product which was made with a recipe of 100 years ago. For the feast days we take our beer now, but for usually we don't take it, because it's for feast days, let's say it so.
So just for feast days, that's the only time you drink the beer?
This beer, but usually we have a table beer, as we say. Trappist cheese and Trappist beer go well together.
You could say it's close to heaven.
You say.
Thank you very much for having us. Fantastic.
Thank you.
The influence of the monasteries on French cheesemaking should never be underestimated. The monks once controlled huge land holdings, and unlike the small peasant farms at the time, they kept a large number of milking animals. They were also well organised as a group, and there was always enough milk and labour to make cheese to supply all their needs.
Most monasteries once kept their own herd of cows for making cheese. But these days, there's such a shortage of monks that only one of the Trappist abbeys still keeps its own herd. It's here in the heart of Burgundy, and the abbey's name is Citeaux.
The abbey was originally founded here in 1098 and is considered the spiritual birthplace of the Cistercian order. The slow acidification techniques used here to make the soft orange smear-ripened cheeses are perfectly suited to the monks' daily routine and fit well into the monastic schedule.
Après, on va commencer le découpage du caillou.
What Jean-Claude has just told me is this milk has been thermised to 69 degrees, the rennet has been added, and in about 12 minutes it will be cut.
Once the curds have been cut, they're gently heated and stirred before being placed in hoops.
This dairy is really quite amazing. It's so modern. The next step in the process is to use the hot whey being drained from the curd to warm up this table. And then the curd will be dropped down into these hoops before being pressed. The extraordinary thing about this place is the number of people. Just 4 monks work in the dairy, and it's super, super modern. One of the reasons this place is so automated is because the monks believe their main vocation is praying, and cheese making becomes secondary. And even between breaks, we've seen the monks here go off and have a pray whilst they're waiting for things to happen.
Any excess curds are carefully redistributed so all the hoops are filled evenly. At this point, the curd is lightly pressed over a 1-hour period using an automated system, until the cheeses are ready to be taken out of the hoops and left on racks to drain.
These cheeses have been draining for the past 2 days, and the next step in the process is to wash them with a solution which is made up of water, salt and a special ferment. And then you just wash them with the saumure. Look at that. And how many times do you do this?
I would say about 10 times.
10 times. And this washing encourages Brevibacterium to grow on the outside of the cheese and form an orange rind that stinks.
Donc toute notre installation a été faite pour ne pas nous surcharger en travail et nous donner le temps de pouvoir prier. Donc nous avons, avec ce fromage, une bouteille de vin âgée de 30 ans, et c'est la perfection.
Ah, so mature cheese with a 30-year-old wine. Perfection, I believe it too. After the cheeses have spent 3 weeks in cold rooms being washed and turned, they're wrapped and brought into this room to sit for 2 weeks. The paper on the outside of them is really important. It doesn't just protect the cheese, it also allows the cheese to breathe and slowly dry out until it forms a thin white mould around the outside.
The Trappist cheeses produced at the Abbey de Citeaux are a fine example of how good monastic wash rind cheeses once tasted. And this passionate team of monks seems dedicated to ensuring that this benchmark continues to retain its popularity despite their dwindling numbers. After spending a day with them, I can't help wondering if perhaps there is another powerful force lending a hand. The last Trappist monastery on my list is one of the most beautiful in France and sits perched high on the slopes of the Bauge mountain pastures in Savoie. The Abbey of Notre-Dame de Tamie was established in 1132 and was one of the first Cistercian abbeys to join the Trappist movement. Unlike many of the monasteries in France, it was not ruined during the French Revolution, and today its impressive old buildings and dairy form an important reminder of its past glories.
The story of the Tamie Abbey starts in the 12th century when the monks came and moved to this valley, which was a route for linking communication between the larger cities of Chambéry and Annecy, because the roads passed near this hillside. And so, one of the first missions for these monks was to actually create more usable land for agriculture, either in the valleys by draining them to create fields, or by going into the mountains and cutting down the forest to create an economy specific to mountain areas they wanted to raise cattle in higher altitude. which means they were milk products, which then means conservation of milk, then the making of cheese.
The 30 monks living here are a very enterprising group. None more so than Brother Nathaniel, to defending traditional Trappist cheese, and has played an important role in ensuring the future of cheesemaking in the remaining abbeys. Tamie cheese is a cross between Reblochon and Port-Salut. Cheesemaking begins with raw milk, which is gently heated to around 34 degrees, and the traditional animal rennet added is made at the abbey. The curd is cut after about an hour and a half and placed in small round hoops and lightly pressed for 4 hours. Meanwhile, the leftover whey is recycled to produce methane and is used to heat the abbey's water. The young cheeses are then immersed in a brine bath for several hours before being placed in the old vaulted cellars beneath the abbey to age for several months. Here they are systematically turned and rubbed every few days until they form a thin orangey yellow rind.
So the wood is very important for the flavour and to ensure that the moisture in the cave is giving the cheese the right ripening conditions.
I think it is part of it, yes, because everything is important in making cheese. But there are some small details that give a certain subtleness that come from the wood.
And tell me about the cave.
From the beginning, from the construction of the monastery, this area here has always been for making cheese and has become larger as the production of the cheese has increased. We are located under the cloisters. That means that the cloisters are the paths where the monks walk while praying. So the monks watch over, spiritually speaking. I suspect that several times the monks are distracted, sometimes when the cheese is not going very well.
Visitors are encouraged to attend services in the abbey where the Gregorian chant is still sung. Tamie cheese is of course very popular with local chefs, and I was hoping to find out about a recipe using local black truffles.
Summer truffles, yes, exactly. Now we can only find those until the month of October, and these specific ones were gathered by a little dog, Croquette, because the truffle was 20 centimeters underground. So the dog, he smells, he digs, and his owner with the pickaxe digs, and there you find the truffle. These truffles come from the combe of Savoie. It is after the Tamie Abbey, heading towards Chambéry.
So these come up from near the abbey?
Yes, yes, after the Tamie Abbey.
Are they as good as the winter truffles?
Oh yes, just as good.
They smell fantastic.
In the Middle Ages, truffles were known as the devil's mushroom, and the idea of mixing these with a monastery cheese sounded delicious, but certainly had some potential implications.
But only in France do we say that the truffle is a devil's mushroom and Tamie cheese is made by Brother Nathaniel at the Tamie Abbey. It is a monastic product, which means it is a religious product. And the devil's mushroom with the Tamie? Brother Nathaniel, he said that yes, we have permission.
Chef Bernard slices the cheese into 3 equal portions after removing the rind. To these, he adds ground black pepper and thick slices of fresh black truffle, creating a sumptuously layered truffle cheese. This mouth-watering creation is wrapped in wax paper and left for 48 hours at room temperature.
Oh, look at that. Oh, yes. And the perfume up the back of your nose and the flavour of the cheese. That is very special cheese.
Yes.
It's like going to heaven. Very good.
To make a delicious cheese on toast, Bernard splits a baguette and rubs each half with a clove of garlic. He then drizzles a local white wine onto each slice and covers it with Tamie cheese. This is then baked under a hot grill till golden brown. Simple, but delicious.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. This is really, really good. This is probably the best thing after the truffles. Okay? Really lovely. Thank you.
C'est très bon.
Thank you for all your help.
Oh,
Okay? Santé.
you.
Santé. Santé.
santé, hein, cher ami.
Well, it's now clear to me that we owe a lot in the cheesemaking world to the Trappist monks. And whilst their numbers are slowly disappearing, one thing is clear: their legacy will live on.
The monks of Tamie, Citeaux, and Mont represent generations of cheesemaking. And without this, many of our favourite washed rind cheeses may never have been developed. Their dedication to self-sufficiency and manual labour is matched only by their tireless devotion to their religious beliefs.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
What's that?
It's useful for you if I stop the machine?
Sure.
Santé.
Santé. Santé.
This is as close to heaven as I think you can get.